What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gloss Garage, where we make detail simple. My name is Hawk, and today I have something special for you all. So here we have a brand new Toyota Camry, and it has a bunch of water spots etched in and everything. And what we ended up doing is, of course, you'll see the walk around, and a little bit after this clip that we washed, clayed, and deconned the vehicle, and we also did use Ragnarok diluted 1 to 5 to really diminish and reduce, I'll say 60% of the scarring left behind from the water spots. Now, once we took care of that and took care of the water spot scarring, the Ragnarok, what it's going to do is just going to remove all those water spot minerals. So now whatever scarring is left behind, we're going to take care of it with a polish. And what polish am I going to use today? So I am going to use CeramX Polish from CSI. Now we are revisiting this polish, my wife and I, and the only reason why is we did use this back in 2019, and I was really introduced to it. And this, again, I was going in the rabbit hole when I first started detailing, you know, what's the best compound polish, and this was one of the single systems type of polishes. This is what intrigued me back in 2019, and the bottle used to be white. I'm not sure if they have the white bottle, but I was introduced to this from Auto Fetish and Wilson Auto Detailing. Lou from Wilson Auto Detailing, and pretty much that is what intrigues me. It's, you can cut and finish with the same thing, and also you can coat right over it. Now the downside with this polish was that when you use a polish and use it, it used to dust a lot, and in order to clean up the dust, you just use a couple sprays of water. It turns to like a soapy solution and wipe it off, and that is pretty much it. That's how I used to do it, and you can coat right over it. I never coated right over it. I just used a panel prep. And yeah, so Hawaii Tim said, "Sock, please revisit this. It's a new and improved formula. It's a lot less dusting." And I am going to, you know, show you all and give it a shot. And to be quite honest, this is my second time using this, and it is a lot less dusting for sure. But this is where I want to do the test, is removing these water spot scarring and see if it's strong enough to remove it. I know it's going to be strong enough to remove it, especially because we use Ragnarok, but in terms of that is more of how does it finish down on this soft paint, because the CeramX polish is a much more aggressive polish. This is, I want to say, in the grade of a compound. But again, you can finish it down with a softer pad, but I'm trying to do this in one step. Now, CSI does have a separate one called System 1, which is their, say, more for detailers in general, where you're not gonna get much dusting. I'll put that in equivalent of, like, say, DIY Detail, Gold Standard, polishes that really won't dust whatsoever, but this doesn't dust and it cuts phenomenally well. So I'm gonna bring you in on the panel so I'm not talking so much, and show you where we at. So before we do that, we're going to segue to what I did to these water spots to reduce the scarring, because it was hammered. All right, everyone, so hopefully the camera picks this up, but here is a lot of the water spot etchings. It's all over the car. Hopefully I put my hand on here and yep. Look at that. So we already washed, clayed, decon. I use Labos Primus and Purifica, and I just use a drying towel, and this is what's left. So what I'm going to do now is what I enjoy doing. I'm gonna do this section with Ragnarok diluted 1 to 5 on the paint and help remove the scarring before I do any polishing. So this will make a true one step much easier, and of course better results. So this is what I have now. In terms for the glass, I'll show you that on a separate part of the video, but yeah, so I'm going to use Ragnarok on the paint. So give me 1 sec. All right, so I'm gonna angle you here, and hopefully all can see these spots. So what I like to do is spray Ragnarok on the towel and wipe in. I'm gonna go back and forth as such, just rub it in. I'm gonna just do this section so all of you can see. Is it gonna remove it completely? No, it's probably gonna remove 90% of the scarring. And you just let it dwell, just don't let it dry. Let it do its job, and gonna rinse that off. And you want to neutralize your acids. So what I'm using here is a bit of Tim's High Gloss Detailer, just to help neutralize it. We're gonna be polishing the paint anyway, so I'm not worried about the slight little protection it may have or slickness, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not worried about stuff like that. And time to dry up. And as you can see, we've diminished those etchings significantly. So this is going to make now, once we do the polishing stage, as you see all these spots here, compared to this area, the scarring is pretty much like 60% gone. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna reduce the scarring so that way once we're ready to polish, it'll be much easier to remove. So look at that. So yeah, so we're gonna put Ragnarok on the paint, rub it in, let it dwell, let it do its job. We may do a second pass, and then we'll start the polishing step. All right, so as you saw from the clip, this was heavily water spotted. There's still some etchings here and there that we are going to remove. And I already have a damp pad. That's how I like to do things. And time to apply CSI. Now, with this is you don't really need a bunch, and you could use this in direct sunlight. If we use this in direct sunlight, again, I haven't used this in direct sunlight since 2019, but when I used to use this in direct sunlight, it would dust a lot. And remember, I didn't have a garage back in the day, so, or a garage door, so I will have to dust in the polish in the elements. So yeah, so from here, you just dab out the polish residue and time to polish. So I'm going to do this on speed setting 2 and on the DIY detail polisher, and we'll see how much correction and finish that we get. So let's get started. What I ended up doing was, 3 section passes. I did left and right twice and 1 up and down. That is pretty much it. Now, quick thing to note is with this, you are going to need to tape off the plastic trim because it will stain the plastic trim. So let's see how much of these water spot minerals was removed. Now, I only did this on speed setting 3, and yes, I could have done it longer, but in terms of doing it in a 1-step, so all of you can see is we removed pretty much 80% or 90% of the water spots. Look at that compared to over here on the right side. Just follow that light on the right, see that? LED light panning over all those spots, and once we come here, we removed a whole bunch. So I'm gonna now do this section, and I'm just gonna do now 3 section passes on speed setting 3 on the DIY detail polisher. So let me just clean the pad out with the pad washer, and I'll fast forward once I'm ready to start polishing. So for this one, I did 4 section passes, and the 4th one was really a quick pass to help with the jeweling stuff because this is super soft paint. And in terms of removing water spots, it is pretty much all gone. It's like 90% of it, 95% is gone. Now some etchings may be permanent because who knows how long they've been on here. The owner is just getting a 1-step, but overall came out amazing. Now since this is super soft paint, it is a little bit hazy, so it's not you know, I am being a little bit more aggressive on here because I want to make sure I remove those water spots. And we already used Ragnarok twice on the hood, twice on the roof, and twice on the trunk because that was where the most minerals was there. And we were able to diminish the scarring like 60 to 70% of it. So, but in terms of polishing it out, everything else came out great. Now, if I did have system 1, which I gotta get, if I had system 1, this will be the perfect canvas for system 1 because it's a little bit less aggressive. It, you know, it can still cut out 600 grit. It will still take a little bit longer, but again, it is this is just really super soft clear. Like, but I got nothing bad to say about this. You see, we removed 95% of the water spots. Some of the water spots you can't even see at all. Oh, like the water spots that probably slightly remain, like you can't even see them. They're just there, but only in a weird angle. So job is pretty much done. So doing a 1-step using CSI. I will see you all on the outro. All right, everyone, so as you saw, yes, you can finish down with CeramX Polish using a softer pad, but the owner's budget was only a 1-step, and in order to maximize the cut and obviously the gloss, we ended up mixing up 2 dabs of CeramX Polish with 3 dabs of Fabulous finishing polish from Phoenix COD, and it really did help. You'll see here on this clip, and that is what we ended up resorting to because this clear coat was just super soft. And of course, thank goodness for Ragnarok using an acid to really remove, you know, 60 to 70% of those water scarring. That way we were able to just use this in a 1-step and get the amazing gloss and finish. Now there is a bonus clip on the outro of me using this on a black Ford Explorer that Titan Tim and I ended up detailing together, and also you will see that it cut and finished amazingly in 1-step on a black vehicle because this CeramX polish works great on medium to hard clears and it finishes down nicely. Now if you have a super soft clear, then typically you may leave a little bit of hazing just because of the throw of the machine that you're using. So yeah, so that is pretty much it. I talk more on the outro. So here is the hood using this combination, and it just leaves an amazing gloss and finish. All right, everyone, so hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and yes, I am recording this outro a couple days later because my original outro video for some reason was corrupted, so I am redoing this again. And pretty much before we get into talking about this Ceram-X polish, and there's one other polish that they also have from CSI, before I get to that, let's look at the results, which you'll see up here on the overhead. And the car is super shiny, super glossy. The owner was super happy. She was like, you know, it looks better than new, and pretty much we did give it back to her better than what the dealership gave to her, because when she dropped off the vehicle, she said the vehicle already had some water spots on it, or a lot of water spots. Pretty much the same how my vehicle came in. If you look a couple videos back, I had a bunch of water spots because it was sitting in the lot for a couple months, and I'm pretty sure the same thing happened with her, and we removed all of that for her. Now the only downside was she let it etch in more, and she also parked under a sprinkler I think once, and it just, you know, having it baked for way longer than expected. Of course, we had to be a little bit more aggressive. So yeah, so that's what we ended up doing. And as I talk about Ceram-X Polish, as I said, I've used this back in 2019, 2020, and the reason why I ended up going to use this was I ended up having to be in a rabbit hole back in the days on finding the best polish to use in direct sunlight. And the reason for that is because everybody's like, don't use any compounds or polish in direct sunlight because you will burn through the clear coat, it's hot paint. And guess what? Before my inception of my YouTube channel, before you guys know the famous, garage with no door, I didn't even have that garage. So we used to polish straight outside in direct sunlight in the heat in the summer. And we ended up finding this CSI CeramX from Auto Fetish and Luke Wilson Auto Detailing, and of course the CSI YouTube channel. And we loved it because they actually used this in direct sunlight with a rotary, and then finishing it off with this same product in direct sunlight in the heat. So that is what intrigued me. The only downside that turned me away for a while was the dust. Now, Hawaii Tim said, try this out, please revisit it. And guess what? I am glad I revisit this thing because it pretty much doesn't dust. And a quick rundown, this was really made for the production shop. For your really soft clear coats, I don't like to use this. I like to use a long throw polisher, and CSI and Auto Fetish, and I think Luke Wilson Auto Detailing, when they use this, they used a forced rotation or 8mm or porter cable. So I guess the less of a throw you have, the better this will finish. But I like to use a 25mm DA, and that is pretty much it. It is pretty much a water-based product, and no, you won't stain plastic trim. It doesn't matter what polish you use. If you're generating a bunch of heat on that plastic trim, it could be gold standard, 3D1, Jimbo's Picture Perfect Polish, Endgame. It doesn't really matter. What we were tackling today was the scarring and etching. So sometimes I had to stay in an area longer and probably on a higher speed as well for certain times to cut out and remove that scarring. And if I would have generated too much heat with that 6-inch pad, yes, I will stain the plastic trim. So that is something just to keep in mind. It doesn't matter what you use. Now, if you're using this as just say a light paint enhancement or a light one step when you're not really focusing to remove those defects, guess what? You don't need to tape plastic trim, just make sure you wipe it off. But of course, always do a small section first to see if you're going to do it, because all plastic trims nowadays are different and made different. And so that is pretty much it. Also, they do have their Ceram-X Polish. I haven't used this, but the videos that I see online, it is really made for the body shop. If you're wet sanding and trying to remove 1000 grit sandpaper quicker, yes, this could remove up to 600 grit, but this one is just to be turn and churn, be quick with it, and that's it. Now, the one thing I'm excited for that I did purchase was their System 1, which they released back in 1997. Obviously, I wasn't detailing in 97, I was 4. And so they came out with that, and we released it, new formulation and everything, and that is pretty much what on their YouTube videos, they say that is 90% of what a detailer is going to do. So I'll put that in the same realm as like 3D1, Endgame, Gold Standard Polish, and stuff like that. And it only comes in an 8-ounce bottle, but I'm excited to try that one. I think that would have been the perfect canvas for this super soft Toyota Camry, because this is a little bit more aggressive. No, this does not have any ceramic protection. This was really made for, like I said, harder clear coats, medium to hard clear, or the ceramic clear coats that came out back in the early 2000s. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I don't have a discount for you all. I'm sorry for the longer outro, and yeah, that is pretty much it. Let me know if you used this back in the past, and if you have, and I know the dust turned you away, try this one out. I love this iteration. And yeah, it's another great polish that will be remaining on my shelf, and I'll be using it often in my detailing business. So see you all on the next one.